Another thing they talked about, which I think is very interesting, and I want to ask you, how in the hell is Nintendo going to do this? They were asked by one of their investors in the Q&A section today or last night or whenever the hell it was about scalpers and how they're going to get around that problem, which we've seen every single console release. And what was that new GPU they just released? What was that?
The GTX 5090.
Yeah, that thing's getting scalped to hell and back right now. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. Now, Nintendo keeps saying, they have said this, I think this is the third or fourth time I've heard them say this, that they have a plan and that they are preparing and they know how they're going to deal with the scalpers. Now, two questions. One, is this actually something they're going to do, or is this just them telling their investors that's what they're going to do and they are just going to let it happen? Or is there some solution? If so, what is it?
I believe that it's honest. And let me tell you why. Because Nintendo doesn't care. From a business perspective, Nintendo shouldn't care. The investors shouldn't care.
They should care too.
Let me finish, Drip. Neither I believe until you tell me a logical explanation of why I could. For now, I don't believe that neither of those parties should care about scalping, because all that does is drive up the demand, because then people like us who want to play the system really, really want to play the system. And that just creates that urge and demand that when they finally do get a restock, you get a bounce on it. If you miss out, you'll bounce in the next restock. As far as I'm concerned, the investors shouldn't care about scalpers, and neither should Nintendo, because they're getting their money anyway. There is a portion, though, this is probably where you're going to go with this. There is a portion of Nintendo's like, we want to be able to control our prices. And this is
not even that.
And this is not, the scalpers don't let Nintendo control the prices because they buy it and resell it for a different price. That's more than what they thought.
That's a problem, but they have a bigger problem. And that actually is going to go into some of the stuff I want to talk about. I guess we can kind of go into that. We'll finish this before we do. But Nintendo has been so successful with the Switch for one main reason. I mean, one, the Switch is awesome, and they did something cool. But two, they have had an aggressive release schedule. There for a while, it was like a Switch first-party game like every month for years. And if not, it was every other month. I mean, they were really putting games out like crazy.
Yep.
Very aggressive. That's what they need to do because they need to sell software. Mm-hmm. There's a problem if these scalpers are buying up all the systems. That means they're not putting them in the hands of people who are going to buy software. They're putting in the hands of people who are going to put them in a closet and sell them for triple price. So right out of the gate, they want to make money. And they want to do it by selling software. They do it with the hardware, yes. But they want to make money by selling software. And if you got a ton of these things just sitting in some dude's closet, that's 10, 15 of those systems that aren't in someone's hand who can buy software. So that is the main reason that they would not want this to happen. Because, I think you can agree, the games are where they make the money. I know Nintendo they're always trying to make a little money off their system too. They're one of the few companies that they do try to make money off their system. Yeah, the profit. But I feel like the big problem there,
and to be clear, Drip, but to be clear, just people, if you're not aware out there, Sony and Xbox do not profit off their hardware. They lose money on every sale of a PS5
Breaking
or an Xbox.
Even is like a great
break even in best case scenario. But you might ask, that's ridiculous, and I would agree. But they make it up with software, more than enough. They profit more than enough with the software. Nintendo is just one of the companies who are sticklers, who are like, we are going to profit off our hardware as well as our software.
That's a lot of the reason.
And it still works for them. Doesn't hurt their business at all.
Well, so. Yeah, they have to be a little bit more innovative with old technology.
They're also scale of company. Sony, Microsoft's through the roof. Yeah. Nintendo is like, it's chilling down here.
They're still big, but they're not.
Exactly.
They're not Sony. They're not Microsoft.
So they have to profit off the systems, really.
Yeah, and it's different. Yeah, it's a different situation. They've always been but I think that's the reason why they want to do it. Now, the question is, how? Are they just stockpiling that many systems? Is that why this thing's been pushed back, that they're just going to have that many?
To me, Drip, that is the only... There's two things they can do that would help the situation. Number one, and most and foremost, they have to stock this system. They have to be printing out these things like dollar bills.
Yeah.
Because... Otherwise, there's really no hope for scalpers. Scalpers will get to it because that's as long as there's not enough of the systems, or just enough, scalpers will make up that difference. And to be clear, they're going to buy the systems either way. They're gonna try to scalp them either way. The problem is they're gonna fail.
Yeah.
Look at the Look at the PS5 Pro. Scalpers failed on that. Scalpers really failed on that because Sony, there was enough PS5s and demand wasn't pros, and demand wasn't that high to begin with because not a lot of people were going to shell out $700 or $800 plus for all the extras. So the scalpers lost on PS5 on the PS5 Pro front, and then the next day they literally won because they put out the special edition ones that were limited, and then scalpers won and it didn't matter. So scalpers lost and won in the same fucking day, which really makes me angry. But it is what it is.
Because they're going to need, listen, you know what? Okay, I don't remember the exact numbers. This is actually one thing I forgot I wanted to bring, but I think one of the numbers, these analysts, not really video game people, just analysts, money people, are predicting, one of the predictions was by 2028, as long as this thing comes out in the first half of this year, which I think it will be close, that they're predicting that that's 3 years, that this thing's going to sell 80 million units by then.
In 3 years? What did the Switch sell in 3 years?
Not that.
I didn't think so.
Good.
It's much more than I thought, and it's much closer than you might think. And this is just AI off a Google result from AI.
Yeah,
here.
I know it's not like a crazy amount more, but it's not 80.
No, it's not. This says over 70 million between 2019 and 2017 and 2019. So, and that's 3 years. So
yeah, they're predicting this thing in 3 years to be outselling the Switch at that point, which I've said for what? Is this week 3? I'm like,
said it, man.
This thing is going to outsell the first Switch. Now listen, here is another big reason why, and I've said this a few times in this show, and I'm saying it a few times because I'm very interested in this because I didn't really think about it until I heard a lot of people talk about it today. But it's that aggressive release strategy with their games. So that's been keeping people interested in the Switch, which it stays relevant. People buy more because they see other people playing. That it's really just made itself its own little machine. But another thing it's done, and they talk to their investors about this. This is nuts.
Do you want to actually hold your thought? Do you want to back up that with some data that we see from this investors meeting?
I have it. I'm about to tell you.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. In this fiscal year, they have had 129 million active players. Out of 150 million Nintendo Switches out there, they have 129 million active players this year. And that's because they're releasing so much and they're keeping people interested, releasing games. There are so many of these people still playing their Switch right now. It's not like these, like the 3DS where it was like, lots of people put their 3DSs away. The Wii U's were gone.
those you know what I mean? They didn't have player base when they launched.
Their player base is still there. I will say I don't think you're playing your Switch at all for anything. I actually, that's not true. I restarted Metroid Prime Remastered today.
There you go. I mean, and I have a backlog I should get to as well, but I plan on playing my backlog on the next system, so I'm just waiting for it.
I am too, but that one is like, it looks like amazing.
Oh yeah,
so it's like
easy. It is easy.
And again, honestly, these are the reasons why. I've said a million other reasons why. I think Sony and Microsoft are kind of sitting on their hands right now as far as releases and games and keeping people playing their systems. I mean, dude, the Switch 2 is going to sell because you're going to be able to play all those games. Also, I heard this today. I'm not 100% sure, but Madden is going to be on the Switch 2.
Yeah,
sounds like
that was
something that was
myself.
confirmed today. I'll again, something else that I'll have to look and make sure I'm not dead wrong about. But
and by the way, Madden is EA, and you were
I know.
And you were talking about EA last week.
That's a big question mark. I mean, that shows you right there. Like, you're going to be able to play all those games you can play on these other systems on this, plus you got Nintendo. Like, this thing is going to sell like crazy. But the one thing that I do have questions about is what we saw Xbox, Microsoft, and Sony with their PlayStation 4 and their Xbox, whatever that thing was, Xbox One, Xbox One S.
Yep.
with the way that they supported those for so long. A lot of the problem they have had, and I'm wondering if Nintendo has seen this and knows, like, okay, we're not doing that. A lot of the problem they've had with selling consoles is the games are on PS4. They're on Xbox, Xbox One. Like, you didn't need to go get a PlayStation 5 immediately. You didn't need to go get any of those systems immediately. Now, I know a lot of that was COVID, and a lot of the stuff that was happening with that, parts, there weren't systems to get, and that's why they decided to support both so hard.
And I have a reason why. The Switch 2 will not suffer that same fate. While they might support the system for as long, if not longer, the PS4 Pro, PS4, Xbox One, there is a good reason why Nintendo might not suffer the same kind of fate, where their customer base of the Switch is going to go, there's no reason for me to buy a Switch 2. I'm very happy just playing the new releases on my old hardware. Number one, the performance. Now, that's not going to be for everyone. Most people are going to go, that's not a big deal for me. But there will be people, absolutely, that go, like you and I, are going to go, we're going to get the thing day one, or we're going to get the thing soon after, because we want to play these games better. Here's the other thing, though. Sony.
Well, before you jump to the other thing,
it's important though. I want to get off my chest.
Okay, go ahead. Sony, I was going to go off of that, but go ahead.
Sony and Microsoft, their consoles are just beefcakes. There's nothing special about their consoles.
Yes.
So, excuse me, the PS5 and Xbox Series are just marginally better.
It's not that gigantic graphical leap that we're going to see from the Switch to the Switch 2. That's
not even
you're
that.
Correct
not
about
even that. Just in the simple terms of, like, PS4 users are happy because the PS5 is just a beefier PS4, but like marginally beefier, not anything significant.
I mean, it's significant enough you can see the difference, but
it's not like the Switch to the Switch 2 for sure.
It's not going to be like that. Yeah, that's going to be a gigantic difference. It's going to be night and day.
But on top of that, the Nintendo has charm that the other two don't. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
May I remind you of this ridiculous controller they released for their Nintendo 64?
Which I still argue is one of the best controllers ever made.
And that's just one example of many of why Nintendo just has this charm and this spectacular way of mesmerizing their fans and making it fun every generation. The Switch 2 is, we don't know everything about it yet, but we know enough to know that it's going to have something. That C button does something. It does something. We don't know what it does yet. I'm going to roll with the crowd here and go, it's a Miiverse type of situation. Hopefully, maybe even like Street Pass. It's going to be fun. Whatever it's going to be is going to be another reason why Switch users want to upgrade over the original Switch.